power turned off for the duration of the meeting, and the board would like to thank you all for your cooperation in this matter. So this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order and invite everyone in attendance to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The regular action meeting are conducted on the fourth Tuesday of each month at the Dorothy Call Administrative Center and are broadcast over Comcast 28, Verizon Fios Channel 32, and are live streamed on our district website, as well as recorded for future broadcasting. So before we get into the next section, filling this board vacancy, I just like to let everybody know in the public, we had 8 very qualified candidates apply for this vacancy, and it was awesome to have all 8 of them come in, tell us why they wanted to be on this board. Each one of them qualified in their different ways. Everyone just wants to serve this community and the children of it, and it was awesome that they were all here. I can't say enough about all of them and the quality and of what they have to offer everybody. The choice was hard, and the resumes were amazing. So it's not an easy choice. So at this time, I'd like to open nominations to fill the board vacancy until the first Monday of December 2023, when Michelle's term expires. Any nominations?
I motion to appoint Michael Stewart to serve as qualified elector to the position of school director for a term to end on the first Monday of December 2023.
Yeah. Any other nominations? Hearing none, we're going to close the nominations. But this will be a roll call, correct, Susan? Sure. Yep.
Okay, motion to appoint Michael Stewart to serve as qualified elector to the position of school director for a term to end on the first Monday of December 2023.
That motion needs a second.
Second.
Questions, comments? Ms. Harder, I believe the floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Pettyjohn.
So this is an aye vote?
Thank you.
Aye.
Mrs. Nicholas.
Aye.
Mr. Myers absent tonight? I didn't notice
He's
that.
away.
Mrs. Snyder. Mr. Cohen.
Aye.
Mr. Patel.
Aye.
Mrs. Rivera.
Aye.
And Mr. Price.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Judge Gallagher's still here, right? Man, I never thought I would say you were hiding. So if Michael Stewart could come forward.
I,
I, Michael Stewart,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Sign this here. Michael?
Stand by. You got stuff to sign first.
You got it.
Your name in here, the date. Today's the 25th, and then sign. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Sit here.
Congratulations, Michael. We invite you to take your seat. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Superintendent Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President, and congratulations and welcome, Mr. Stewart. We're glad you're with us and wish you all the best. You have a great team, and we're here to help and support, and we look forward to your support and help. So thanks. Thank you. Speaking of great teams, Miss McGowan is here, principal of Belmont Hills Elementary with the Belmont Hills Writing Club. Welcome.
So thank you for having us this evening. We are here to present to you our writing club, who meets on a monthly basis, and our advisor is Miss Brittany Angelucci. She is our second grade teacher. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the students and to Miss Angelucci. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGowan. All right, my name is Brittany Angelucci, as she has said, and good evening, Ben Salem community. I am a second grade teacher at Belmont Hills, and I am also thanking you for the opportunity in which our Belmont Hills Writing Club, Dogs with Blogs, get to showcase their writing talents with you this evening. Tonight's presenters are going to share several different genres of writing, including mini sagas, poetry, and short stories. Many of the pieces that you will hear this evening have been entered into young writers competitions, so please enjoy. And tell the title of your story, please.
Hello, I'm Michael, and I'm going to be reading Third of a Dreamhawk. One gloomy afternoon, 3 kids named Michael, Nicholas, and Alexis were outside. It was 6 a.m. and Michael was cooking breakfast. It was outside of a house that was locked. "Good morning," Nick said in a shaky, cold voice. "Brr," Nick complained. "Here, Nick," Michael murmured, giving Nick the last blanket. "Caw-caw! Caw-caw! Nick, hide!" Lex woke up. "Caw-caw! Ow!" "It was a baby hawk," Mike says. "Here, bird, eat this stick." Yeet. Nick threw the stick at the baby bird, but it escaped. Then, bum, 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 the mama bird flew into action. "Run!" Michael and Nick ran to the door. "Lex, come on!" "Wait," she whispered as she walked towards the yellow-eyed, brown-feathered bird. Come here, come here, come here." "Ah! Caw-caw!" She ran like lightning. "Open the door!" Lex yelled. "We're trying!" 1. Caw-caw! 2. Caw-caw! 3. Open! The door opened. Go! Michael yelled. We made it! Bang! The bird hit the door and fell. Is it okay? Nick asked. It's fine. Let's go upstairs. Can we have mac and cheesy? Can you say it right? No. Same answer. Oh, fine. Nice, you're making it while I relax. Bruh. 10 minutes later. Michael, Nikki, food's ready. Nick, food's ready. Michael, wake up, 'cause your food is ready. This is good. Hello? Who are you? I'm Mrs. Doodleberg. Wait, your name is Mrs. Doodleberg? Go outside. No, please, no. Follow me, she hollers. You can do door 1, 2, or 3. Lex runs to 1. No, Lex, said Michael and Nikki. They run to 3. Fine. Before you enter, dun, 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 there's a sports room, a horror room, and a playroom. Now you may go in. Okay then. Bang! The door slammed shut. Wait! We got the horror room. They charged the door. Go! Open! Open! Yes! Run fast! They ran outside and closed the door. Caw-caw! Oh no, it's coming towards us. Caw-caw! He says. Thank you very much. The mama bird hasn't fallen asleep in days. Now the mama bird is happy, the hawk said. Do you want food? Mike asked. Yes, please. 5 eggs and 5 pieces of bacon. No problem. Here you go. Thank you very much. Wow, they all said in shock. A bird talked? Wow, Nick said. Yeah, we should probably get some rest. Yeah, Lex is right, Mike said. Good night, Mike said, but Lex and Nikki already fell asleep. The end.
All right, our next student is Avika Vora, and she would like me to read for her. Her story is a mini saga called The Crazy Teacher. I don't think she was, were you talking about me? No. One day in Cool School, the teacher quit. Definitely not me. The kids in Cool School got a new teacher. They were so excited. When the teacher arrived, something wasn't right, but no one cared. As the day moved on, it got weirder and weirder. For example, Mr. Billy Boom, new teacher, made the students compete on a who can make the loudest burp. Soon the kids had had enough. They were tired of doing these ridiculous things. The students snuck out of the classroom and sped to the principal's office and told the principal everything. The principal was furious. Soon the kids got another teacher.
Hi, I'm Susanna, and today I'm going to be reading What You Need to Make Me. First, you need the dust of a chef. Next, you need a dash of vanilla and fluffball bunnies. A loud, bossy 10-year-old. Burn up a microphone and put in its ash. A sprinkle of craziness. Make sure there's no math or grammar are inside. But what if I do like to write? And with a little friendship, you make me.
All right, our next student is Charlotte Francis, and she also wrote a mini saga, and it's called The Carrot That Carries On. The evil chef throws carrots in a pot. Do you want to take over so Mom can hear you? No? Okay. I tried. 1, 2, 3. All of them start to boil, except for one. The chef crept up to the steaming hot pot and detected a certain carrot. Ah, the carrot he was looking at, jumped out of the pot and ran up his arm. Then he started biting the chef and causing him to fall down and knock all the cooking stuff off the shelf. He was covered in sticky, messy food. He raced out of the kitchen, zoom, and with that, the carrot had done it again. All right, our next reader is Brielle Stroder, and she also wrote a mini saga called The Forgetful Chef. Sorry, woo, long night. The Forgetful Chef. Once there was a chef, and he had a mission to cook a scrumptious meal for the queen. So he got to work preparing. He forgot what he was making, so he added peanut butter, carrots, tomato sauce, and worst of all, peas. He went out and served it to the queen. At first, the queen liked it, but after she was done, she threw the soup in the chef's face, and she had the nerve to fire him too. So she went to throw up, and she never saw the forgetful chef ever again. So don't hire forgetful chefs. So I have to add, those mini sagas were supposed to be ridiculous. That was the point of writing them. They were supposed to have a 100-word mini saga short story. We have one other person who wanted to present. She couldn't be here due to illness, and her name is Willow Green. She wrote a short story. It was a creative writing story called Locked in the Zoo, and she wrote Escape from the Zoo. Oh, great, we're stuck in the zoo, Irma said, annoyed. Look, you did this to us, Corey yelled. Be quiet or the security will catch us. And you know I can't resist a dare, Irma whispered. Okay, let's find a key or something, Corey whispered back. They looked all over the zoo but couldn't find a key. Okay, there's no key, but maybe something else, like a screwdriver, Irma said. A screwdriver? Why? Corey said loudly. Look, that's the first thing that came to my mind, okay? Irma replied. They found a screwdriver and pried open the gates of the zoo. There's my car, Irma pointed at the blue truck. Corey and Irma drove home where their cat Lucky was waiting for them. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Very, very impressive and really, really funny and clever. We appreciated your skill, your communication, and keep it going. Mr. Daka, some future AP Gov students right there. Thank you, Belmont.
And I got to tell you, all that talk about food got me craving macaroni and cheese and bacon right now. Dr. Lee, the floor is still yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to go out front for a minute, if I could.
Certainly.
Welcome again, Mr. Stewart. And oh boy, we're good. Hold this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh boy, I think we're good. The seat Mr. Stewart filled tonight was vacated by Miss Michelle Benitez. And it's my pleasure. Well, thanks. You sure? Yeah, two hands. On behalf of the Board of School Directors, your former colleagues, my colleagues in Cabinet Administration, and Mr. Daka's colleagues, and the entire Bensalem Township School District community, please accept this token of our appreciation for your service as a school board director. Thank you. You got it? And the accompanying certificate. Mrs. Benitez leaves us after 2 incredibly challenging years for any school board director, and your colleagues can attest to that. You've endured some unique times, circumstances, and situations, but you have attended to them with a commitment, a talent, a grace, and poise that will serve you well in your new community service capacity, a member of the Bensalem Township Council. So still serving us as a community, and for that we're grateful. So thank you. Thanks, Rochelle.
I want to thank all of you. This last 2 years, as Dr. Lee mentioned, have been, I mean, there are no words really. You don't really know what you're in for, Mr. Stewart. I wish you all the luck in the world. I know that you'll do well. I trust in my colleagues here to bring somebody in that truly cares about this community, because that's what this is about. So make sure that you're listening. And you've got some great leaders here to help you along the way. I want to thank each of you sitting here tonight, and all of those that I've worked with in the district for becoming, my network, my people. Everybody's always willing to work together, and it's not always easy. We don't always agree on everything, but you work hard, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Our board is a board of volunteers. They're taking time away from their families. And it's like a part-time job. It really, truly is. If you're dedicated to serve this community, it really becomes that. So I want to thank you for the friendships that we've built, the partnerships that we've built, and I want you to know that I'm going to continue to be here with you as a resource in the community. If you ever need anything, if I can help with anything, please reach out. I'm here to serve you, and thank you for everything. I appreciate this recognition.
And connected and aligned with Ms. Benitez's words and her sentiment, it is January is School Board of Directors Recognition Month across the Commonwealth, and we couldn't be better represented or better served here in Bensalem than the body you see before you. They are 9 of 4,500. In Pennsylvania. They are elected to 4-year terms. They all serve as volunteers. You mentioned that. We have an eclectic group of people and professionals that adequately and appropriately represent our community. And while the challenges of the pandemic have shifted priorities at times, you continue to focus on supporting the children you're entrusted to care for and serve, related to program, academics, social emotional well-being, and co-curriculars. You are to be commended, and from my perspective, honored. There's never been a harder time to be a school board director anywhere in our country. You have been an incredible group to work with. You are the best COVID board I have ever seen. I mean that sincerely, and I think I speak for my colleagues and the people you work with and employ and the kids you serve. So thank you. We appreciate you, and we enjoy working with you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
I'll just keep moving, Mr. President, if it's all right with you. On Saturday, January 22nd, 18 Bensalem High School alumni athletes and a coach were inducted into the Bensalem High School Athletic Hall of Fame. The ceremony honoring the inductees was held between the boys and girls basketball games in the afternoon, followed by a dinner at the Bensalem Country Club. Congratulations to the 2022 Ben Salem High School Hall of Fame inductees. Amelia Ali, class of 2015, track and field. Dante Austin, 1987, track and field. Jimmy Cooper, 1987, track and field. Raju Easterly, 2007, football. Lisa Faya, 1997, track and field. Mary Faya, 2002, track and field. Kyle Francis, 2014, track and field. Johnny Howard, 2000, football. Reggie Jackson, class of 1996, basketball. Mary Ellen Malloy, coach, track and field. Brian Matoy, class of 1997, football. Jennings McBride, 2005, football. Tom Mee, 1997, baseball. Brad Rivera, 2013, track and field. Tyra Roberts, 2013, track and field. Chris Smith, 1991, basketball. Tommy Stokes, 2014, wrestling. And Mia Williams, 1998, track and field. I also want to thank the committee that put together this remarkable, not just athletic, but community event. I had the opportunity and privilege to be in attendance along with President Price, Mrs. Rivera, and Mrs. Snyder. It was an incredible night for Ben Salem. These student athletes, many or almost all adults living their own lives, doing great things all across the country, spoke fondly and in a heartfelt manner and way about their experience growing up here, their education here in Ben Salem Township School District, and their accomplishments, their humility, and their love for this community was front and center. So congratulations, not just the honorees, but the committee and the community as a whole. Sorry, I went off script there a little bit.
It's merited, Sam.
All right, thank you.
It's merited.
In Mrs. Ulrich's painting and drawing 2 class at Ben Salem High School, the students drew self-portraits. In the photos you see here, the students are critiquing them as a class. On January 11th, the Schaefer Sunny Side Up morning news show produced and aired their 300th episode. A special shout out to the brave student anchors and technical staff who share their talents with Schaefer students and staff each and every day. Schaefer's first post was their promotion ceremony in June 2018, and they began regularly posting daily shows beginning September 2019. They continued posting during the early days of the pandemic when students and staff were remote. During that time, the student anchors broadcasted from their home studios. A special thank you to Mrs. Ganna for her diligence and creativity in preparing the script every day and for organizing all the staff announcements and sports results, some of which come in at the last minute. On Friday, January 21st, students at Snyder Middle School were treated to a staff versus student volleyball game to end the frigid week. It was a great opportunity to see who had more built-up energy, the teachers or the students. Sadly for the students, Snyder staff came out on top, but over 50 students were given the opportunity to challenge their favorite teachers, and fun was had by all. I have to note that our Ben Salem High School head volleyball coach and extremely talented volleyball player, Mr. Linehan, teaches at Snyder. So. Students in 3rd grade at Belmont Hills are becoming multiplication masters. As they demonstrate mastery of their fact tables, they move up the tiers of a multiplication movie celebration, which will be a culminating activity in June to celebrate their efforts. In the month of January, the Cornwellians were busy learning more about Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy in fighting for social justice. Stories were read throughout the school and great discussions followed. Also, they could not pass up on the opportunity to support their favorite home football team, the Eagles, as they headed to the first round of their playoff games. Fly, Eagles, fly. On January 21st, members from the Ben Salem High School's Marine Corps Junior ROTC program visited the sixth grade safeties at Faust Elementary School. The ROTC members were former Faust students who shared their journey from Faust Falcons to the MCJ ROTC program. They discussed topics on leadership, discipline, and the MCJ ROTC program itself. It was a wonderful experience for the sixth graders to see some of the opportunities available to them as future Owls. This month, Mrs. Schnarr, Mrs. Kovac, and Mr. Moyer's third grade classes at Rush Elementary learned all about the United States government and social studies. They discussed topics such as why we need government, the services our governments provide, the formation and important documents within our government, who some of our founding fathers were, and the responsibilities of each branch of government. After reading about the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of our government, the students created a government tree displaying the three branches and sorted their unique responsibilities under each branch. They can't wait to continue learning about our government throughout the remainder of the unit. On January 24th, 2022, it was National Compliment Day. Third grade students at Struble Elementary celebrated this special day by creating compliment cards for each other during social emotional learning. Students participated in a mini lesson on the power of compliments and their ability to boost confidence, self-esteem, and happiness. Students practiced giving specific, meaningful, and positive compliments to each other. Lastly, they created compliment cards for each of their classmates. This activity encouraged students to be kind, positive, and respectful, which directly correlates to school-wide positive behavior. Valley third grade students recently completed a unit on figurative language that included similes, metaphors, alliterations, along with synonyms and antonyms. In math, they have been studying multiplication facts and created a multiplication monster. The entire grade level read a story called The Night Tree, which focuses on kindness and giving back. This marking period in writing, they were focused on writing nonfiction books. Students selected topics on which they felt they were an expert and created a book to be able to teach others. All students even set new reading goals for the marking period. The third grade Dragons are working hard. Just a little PSA reminder, 2022-23 kindergarten registration takes place beginning on Tuesday, February 1st. You can register online or call the number listed here to schedule your appointment. It's important to get out and register early so you can be placed in your home school. They are my highlights this evening. Mr. President, would you like me to keep moving?
I would, sir.
Thank you. For my report, I'm going to focus on a possible update to our health and safety plan, which is for the board's consideration tonight. We recommend some changes, and I'll walk through them currently. As always, the plan will be continually monitored along with updated guidance provided by CDC, Pennsylvania Department of Health, and Pennsylvania Department of Education. The guidance will be reviewed and may be implemented in consultation with the Bucks County Department of Health. If the board acts affirmatively on the plan before it tonight, changes will become effective tomorrow. Masking will remain optional, except on district transportation. We will no longer contact trace unless requested by the Bucks County Health Department. Only COVID-positive staff or students will be excluded from school. Individuals who test positive for COVID-19 must isolate at home for at least 5 days. In order to return, day 6 or after, the individual must be asymptomatic or have improved or resolving symptoms and be fever-free for 24 hours without medication. Masking is represented for 5 calendar days after returning. It's recommended that asymptomatic individuals with an ongoing household exposure to COVID-19 wear a mask for a minimum of 1 week from symptom onset of the household member. The CDC, Pennsylvania Department of Health, and Bucks County Health Department encourage eligible individuals to complete the primary vaccination series. Individuals who are sick should remain home. School nurses will evaluate individuals who present symptoms in school consistent with Policy 203 and recommendations from Bucks County Health Department. Please, 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 families, parents, keep your contact information current through Sapphire. We encourage students and staff to report positive cases of COVID-19 to their building nurse. We will inform parents and guardians of positive cases within the child's or children's classrooms, and community notifications of positive cases will be posted on the individual school's website. I want to take a minute to thank this board, our colleagues, and our community in general for their understanding and patience for the last 2 years. COVID, unfortunately, still has great influence and affect on everything we do. We think we're at the tail end of this, but if COVID has taught us anything, we can't be too certain. I also want to share and express my gratitude to this board, again, and our colleagues for specifically for their attention to these revisions and alterations. And let our community know that nothing is more important than the health and safety of our kids and colleagues in and around our schools, our buildings, and our community. We will never waver from the commitment to maintain health and safety. We feel that these recommendations will continue to do that, provide for health and safety, COVID mitigation, and I'm proud of our COVID record here in Bensalem. And we'll continue to make every effort to continue that momentum. That's all I have for you this evening, Mr. President.
That's a lot, Dr. Lee, and thank you for your time. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Abstentions. Motion carries. Moving into our public comment section of the night, and I just want to do some housekeeping prior to starting. So public comment is open to any Bensalem community member who wishes to speak. Must sign up in person at the Dorothy D. Cole Administration Center prior to the start of the board meeting. When it is their turn to speak, they will approach the microphone, state their name and address for the record, and make their comment. They will have 3 minutes to speak. When the last registered person speaks, public comment for that meeting. Anyone who shows up late will have to wait until the next board meeting. First one up, Jamal Parker. Jamila, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I first want to start with just reading a quote. "A lack of transparency results in distrust and a deep sense of insecurity." I am the writer of the public comment that I submitted back in December because I was unable to attend due to a band concert in the district. It was pertaining to the threat that had occurred at Ben Salem High School and the lack of the communication and transparency that the community and parents received from that. Moving forward, I'm still going to implore Dr. Lee, the school board, cabinet, to, as much as it possibly lies within you, to be transparent. Lack of transparency, and here I'm giving my son is 16, he attends the high school, and I have to trust that when I leave him in the hands of the high school, of the teachers, that they're going to do their best by my son. We're trusting as a community that those of you who have been elected to the board, we're trusting that you're going to make the best decisions. But a part of that is going to be, you have to be transparent. We need to have open communication. And I'm going to point out, the school board director, congratulations. That name was not mentioned prior to. The public was not made aware of that until I sat here this evening and his name was announced. Where was that publicized ahead of time? The HR director, I see that there's a contract that's going to be voted on for the HR director. There's been no name. There's been no contract even made available to the public for us to review. That is public record, public information, and yet we don't have that. In addition to that, because I know my time is running out, back in November at the regular action meeting, Dr. Lee had indicated that upon hiring of an HR director that we would then be moving forward with the hiring of a DEI officer. I was privileged to have sat on the DEI committee for the past 2 years, and I'm really hoping that we will be moving forward with that hiring. I will be attending each meeting. You will see my face just to make sure that we're moving forward with the hiring of such an officer. And finally, a couple of seconds left, something I just want to bring up. So I wasn't at the December meeting because there was the band concert at the high school. Many districts, I work in a district in New Jersey, many districts, what they actually do, they actually prohibit any events, school events, to take place on work session or on regular action meeting nights. So everything else is scheduled around that. It gives the opportunity for not to have to choose, am I going to support my child or am I going to attend as a community member? So I would implore you to consider that moving into the 22-23 school year. Thank you.
Scott, I'm gonna butcher it, so Wattagen. Wait.
Yeah. My concerns actually stem kind of along with Dr. Lee, the health and safety of the students and the faculty. So I have a couple of comments regarding, there's been a lot of discussion in the news regarding filtration of the air that we breathe. Filtration in the schools, I'm sure there's been some updates for the systems that we guys have used. Very, very little of it, however, is for clean, safe drinking water for the kids. If you look around this room, almost everyone has a water bottle. Why is that? There's a drinking fountain less than 15 feet from here. There are big systemic concerns that the CDC and the EPA have well beyond lead in drinking waters. All right, so I commend you for what you've done. I commend you for looking at the lead in drinking waters, but it's been a long time coming that the CDC is kind of shying away from or concerns with the type of filtration that is in every single one of the bottle fillers and drinking fountains. Those are carbon block filters that not only block the bacteria, but it actually helps it grow. So I urge you to look for an alternative to things along those lines. All right. What is the procedure for ensuring clean drinking water for all these fountains? Is there a process or procedure? And then again, look at, an easy Google will give you numerous new technologies out there that are extremely simple to implement and do well more than just lead in our drinking water. So, You know, I'm not as concerned with high school kids as a 3-year-old thinks nothing of going up to a water fountain and drinking from it. I urge you to take a look at that. All right? Thank you.
Barbara Stokes. Okay, thanks.
So it's Barbara Stakes, Stakes, Oakford, Bensalem Township. At the last meeting, I asked Dr. Lee about the interviews that were supposed to take place in November for a DEI director. He never answered the question. Scott and Dichter asked about a meeting scheduled to discuss the DEI program. One of you answered, that was Vanessa's. Vanessa is no longer on the board and nothing is being scheduled. So it's as if to say, we don't care anymore. This is a slap in the face to the students who came here and told you about their experiences of name calling and discrimination from not only students, but even by teachers. You show total disregard for the teachers who attended that meeting and expressed their concern on how to address bullying they witnessed. They said a DEI director could answer their questions about how to talk to students about these situations. Just because Vanessa was the only Black person on the board and spoke so passionately on behalf of the program, she is absolutely not the only person advocating a DEI director be hired. Democrats who are on the board and hundreds of parents and residents of Bensalem support a DEI program. It's nice to show good things going on in elementary school and high school sports and academic achievements, but niceties are not the only things going on in our schools. It would mean even more to see kids sharing their different life experiences while learning how much they have in common. A DEI program's goal is not to, quote, make white kids feel bad. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Look the words up in a dictionary. The irony would be laughable if it weren't so sad, because for many Black and brown children, feeling bad about themselves is real. When called the N-word, told to go back where they came from, illegal aliens, etc. Disrespect for any reason, but especially for the color of one's skin, ethnicity, or religious background, I shouldn't have to tell adults, is wrong. But when you're 14, 15, 16, these are the hardest times in a person's life. Words like these can be devastating. Some kids have nowhere to turn to understand these bad feelings. And I'm referring to all kids. So many have no one to talk to. So they lock these feelings up until they explode.
Stephanie. I'm going to butcher it too, so. Inselberg.
I have the seatbelts on. All right, I'm going to try to talk fast. All right, Stephanie Inselberg, 3637 Mara Drive, Bensalem. Silenced are the over 17,000 doctors, inventors of vaccines, pharmacists, nurses, virologists, immunologists, pathologists, cardiologists, and epidemiologists, just to name a few of the wide range of medical professionals that make up America Frontline Doctors. Sorry. The list continues with hundreds of lawyers that have also joined forces with this organization and currently have lawsuits against the three-letter organizations, including Dr. Fauci and Dr. Tedros, the director of the WHO. Let us also not forget the vaccine injured.
If you've been following these doctors from the very first time the broadcast was out or cut out from mainstream media and wiped from the internet the day they stepped foot on the Capitol steps to talk about early treatment for the virus, then you would have seen the bigger picture of how powerful Big Pharma is with their ability to suppress anyone that stands in the way of their pocketbook. These so-called vaccines are not free. We, the people, are paying for them. I'm going to sum up the hours of testimony I have listened to in the 5-hour Senate roundtable conducted by Senator Ron Johnson yesterday. You can go to Rumble and look up Ron Johnson and watch a testimony under the title COVID-19, A Second Opinion. These doctors have known since the beginning early treatment was the key to the use of ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and budesonide, which is an oral inhaler. They also had great success with monoclonal antibodies, with Florida leading the way. Walk-up centers were set up throughout the state until Biden decided they would cut the amount they received to treat the influx of patients, making it harder to get an adequate amount. The other mentioned protocols for early treatment were suppressed and vilified. They didn't want the public to have a treatment because they only wanted the treatment to be that of a vaccine. This end product is nothing more than a gene therapy made up of human tissue and tons of toxic chemicals. The mRNA is encapsulated in a liquid nanoparticle, which is a delivery method for it to attach to the H2 cell receptors. The spike protein was added to the vaccine, which they've since found out was the toxic killer in SARS-CoV-2 to begin with. As with most vaccines, it's supposed to stay in the muscle in the arm, but it was found out in the immediate rollout this was not the case. They now know that it not only enters the bloodstream, but also the ovaries and crosses the blood-brain barrier, causing clotting, leading to thrombocytopenia and a slew of other adverse reactions, including death. There are currently 3 whistleblowers from inside the DoD, all signed affidavits under penalty of perjury. According to the testimony given by attorney Thomas Rentz, given a 5-year average, miscarriages have increased over 300%, 300% increase in cancer, 1,000% increase in neurological disorders, and they say the soldiers are being experimented on, harmed, and even causing death by vaccination. You now have the answer to the question as to why so many men and women in the armed forces, medical field, and countless other professions are walking away from their jobs. They've seen the adverse effects with their own eyes, and so have I. Back in September 21, the Defense Department initiative Project Salus stated there was a 71% increase in COVID in the fully vaccinated.
That concludes the public comment section. Moving into the health and safety plan. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the revised Bensalem Township School District Health and Safety Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. Ms. Harder, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pettyjohn,
Aye.
Mrs. Nicholas,
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Cohen,
Aye.
Mr. Patel,
Aye.
Mrs. Rivera,
Aye.
and Mr. Price.
Aye. Move it. Moving on to the consent agenda. Moving on to the consent agenda. I'd like to accept a motion to approve the following consent agenda items. Secretary minutes items J 1 through 5. Treasurer's report item K1. Board policy items N1. Instructional affairs items O 2 through 5. Business affairs items P 1 through 3 and 7 through 18. Personnel items Q 1 through 5.
So moved. Second.
Questions? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All against signify by saying nay. Abstentions. Motion carries. Solicitor's report.
There's no solicitor's report, Mr. President.
Standing committee reports. IA.
Everything's in the report. I just want to highlight that one of the things on there is our, and it's, well, it's on the agenda for our new ELA program. It's in the back, and we did discuss it at length. And sorry for all the questions. I still kind of feel bad about holding us up, but that's all.
Business affairs.
The report is attached.
Thank you. Personnel committee.
Monday, January 17th, and the report is attached. Thank you.
Thank you. So this time, liaison committee reports. Most of the liaison committees were suspended for the month of January while we got reorganized and got everybody settled. Just as a matter of record, just to let everybody know. Tech school.
Tech school had their meeting this past week. Was it a week ago or was it just last night? Seems like a week to me. Sorry. There were a lot of items there, financial items. There were resignations, some movement of staff, that kind of a thing. We too dealt with the health and safety plan at the tech school, and they elected to do something a little different than what we just did here. Looking at the chart for protocols they have for mask wearing, if you're in the high category, they're requiring masks. Their goal is to have 100 kids there 100% of the time because they cannot do virtual teaching in a from a tech school. You can't learn how to weld at home. You can't learn how to do, 1,000 other things at home. You have to actually be there. It's a hands-on community. So they have voted to require masks, but it's only, it's not a forever period of time that they're going to require masks, and you don't have to wait. We don't have to wait to meet again. The director can, just by watching the levels as they drop, he can drop the masks or make them optional, which of course he will do, and then call all the board members and for their consent too. So that's how that's going to work. It's not foolproof, masks aren't foolproof, but they were hoping to get better attendance and less COVID. They had 23 cases of COVID the past last week, and it was getting to be really, really high.
But I think only 4 were positive.
Only
out of-
4 were positive, and the rest were still waiting on their. So we set up the committees: PIA committee, audit committee, budget committee, negotiating committee, nominating committee, and technology committee. That was fun. Then there was some controversy over the Articles of Agreement. Maybe Mr. Steffi can help us out here. I know, I just woke you up. I'm sorry. But the business directors, from every district met to help us iron this out. Bristol Township did not want to sign the Articles of Agreement. It's been, I guess, 5 years or so since the last one was signed. And so could you tell me what conclusion you came to?
Sure. The funding for the school is based on the operational costs, and the operational costs are a direct correlation to the number of students you send. So that was a change. And there is a funding component for the capital repairs, and such as the roofs, the mechanical systems and whatnot. And that is based more on the relative wealth of the school district. So I know majority of the school districts agreed that Bristol Township was not happy with the change to the operational portion because it raised their costs considerably.
I believe we voted on that then at the meeting, and it passed with recommendations there. So thank you for attending that meeting. Every business manager was there. We've had a lot of recognition this month, and we really appreciate how the kindness that everybody has offered to board members. Board recognition started here for us and ended here. I found it at the intermediate unit as well, and at the tech school. But I just want to show you what we got for our recognition from the tech school, and I'll just pass it around. You can look as we move on. Maple and cherry, I think. And they do a very, very nice job. That's it for the tech school report, Mr. President.
Anything for the Technical High School Authority? Bucks County IU, Ms. Snyder?
We've met 3 times since I've been able to make a report, so I had a lot to tell you, but I decided not to do that tonight, so it's okay. So my recognition should be, a plaque or something. I already got a cutting board. Okay. We did the normal agenda items, finance, transportation, consent agenda that was very long, and our recommendations for action. Because most of, not all, but most of the students they serve are special ed students. So they don't always, they're not always able to wear masks. So masks are still optional there, and we did vote on that plan. We probably have before us, and I didn't see for sure, but the programs and services budget is coming to us. That is the most important budget that we vote on for the IU. That's the most services that they give us or serve for us are the programs and services. So show it to Mr. Steffi. He'll want to see it. Just go ahead and give it to him, Mike. There you go. We had a mini presentation. They do mini reports at the very, very beginning of each meeting, and they are excellent. It ends with a legislative report at the end, and which is also excellent, by the way. So that's what we'll be voting on tonight, and I believe that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Ms. Rivera, would you like to talk about the Hall of Fame Committee?
I think Dr. Lee elaborated on it fairly well. I enjoyed being on the committee. It was lots of fun. We had a great time organizing it for the athletes. We do it once every 2 years. There was a lot of inductees going in because this was the class of 2020, but with COVID, Mr. Purse said, we're doing it with COVID or not. So we were very successful getting it done. I have to say that Jess Odie is a teacher at the high school. She did a tremendous amount of work. All the accolades that the athletes write, she proofreads them all, checks them for spelling, punctuation. So there was 18 of those before we print the book. She handled all the tickets. So a special thanks goes out to Mrs. Odie for helping us out. Thank you.
Thank you for indulging me again about Saturday. It was like watching a great movie and you keep playing it over and over again in your head. That's how good it was. But one of the highlights was that one of the honorees, class of 1987, did not technically and officially receive his diploma. He earned it. He earned it. And it was with the help of our board colleagues, our principal Ferreira, and I had the honor of conveying, officially and formally, conveying that diploma to him. He was excited beyond belief, more with his diploma than he was his Hall of Fame recognition.
Speaking of diplomas, now that you brought it up, Dr. Lee, some of the graduates do not receive their diplomas if they have outstanding obligations. From what I understand, we have diplomas at the high school from 1977. Trust me, that's 45 years ago. I graduated in 1977. I understand that they have to pay their obligations, but some of those obligations for a Spanish book, a history book, a science book, a uniform, those books are probably out of print, gone. We've had numerous uniforms over and over again. So I think the board needs to look at that. Maybe after so many years, if they don't pay their obligation, 5, 7, 8 years, mail their diplomas out. It's sad to see those diplomas sitting there and people have not received them. So I encourage the board to look into that policy, and maybe we can do something about that.
I agree with you, Kim. I think we should look at that on a case-by-case basis, and if there's something we can do, we should absolutely do it. I want to take a second to, again, thank the Hall of Fame Committee for putting on an outstanding event. Big Purr, Little Purr, Jess Odie, and Tim Hornberger, which, kind of got overlooked a couple times. But Tim did a good job announcing and getting the stuff out there. So the whole committee did a fantastic job. It was an awesome event. I was glad to be in attendance. Which takes us to the next. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve revisions to policy 918, Title I School Parent and Family Engagement as presented. Reviewed as first read on November 23rd, 2021. second read on December 15th, 2021, and an action item on tonight's meeting, January 25th, 2022.
Mr. Price, this was in the consent agenda. The policy?
Thank you for keeping me straight, Susan. I digress.
Eric, I didn't read the Education Foundation report.
I am sorry, Mark.
It's okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay. And another thank you to Jess Odie. She just joined our board as a secretary, and she's taking the minutes now, replacing another superstar, Rosemary Bocella. So great work there today. So we met today. Went over some financials. We received $700 from Celtic Christmas. That's going to go to the performing arts. Some of that proceeds went to Ryan Wilson Scholarship, and then $700 went to us. And we did receive a check today from Parks Casino for EITC. And we discussed our First Monday program. We took in for the first month of December was $350. And we want to thank Brian King from Allstate Insurance. He donated, this is his second donation. It's now totaling $2,000. And that money is going to go to OTN microphones. And we discussed our grant timeline is getting ready to be sent out. 9 grants of $500 to each school will be sent out to the principals. And let's see, we met with a grant writer, discussed some opportunities with Just for the Kids Foundation. Also, we talked about a new sign outside of Ben Salem High School. And the class of '93 reunion, they're going to give us some donations from that reunion. And our next meeting is February 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And again, I apologize. Anything for Just for Kids? Mark, anything for Just for Kids?
Well, I'm not on that board, but no, not at this time.
Well, I am, and we have not met. I think we have a Zoom meeting scheduled soon, Thursday, and you'll hear more from us next time.
Mark, did the drug and alcohol meet?
They didn't meet.
Thanks. Want to make sure I didn't forget somebody. I got my note of what I need to do. My get it together note. So down to Section O, Instructional Affairs. Motion to approve the Bucks County IU programs and services and instructional materials and research service budget for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, Ms. Harder, roll call, please.
Mr. Pettyjohn,
Aye.
that was I, right? Sorry.
Aye, that was I.
Thank you. Heard a little bit of an N on the beginning of that. Mrs. Nicholas,
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart. Abstain, thank you. Mr. Cohen,
Aye.
Mr. Patel,
Aye.
Mrs. Rivera,
Aye.
and Mr. Price.
Aye. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve a waiver agreement and release for student C as reviewed with the board in executive session on confidential student matters.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstentions. 1 abstention, Ms. Harder. Motion carries. Down to business affairs. Motion to approve the Act 1 tax resolution limiting a tax increase for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just this doesn't, guarantee a tax increase, so people understand that. It just limits what
Correct.
we could do.
It limits the ceiling. It does not mean we are or not. It just limits the amount. And Ms. Harder, you're a popular person tonight. Roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Mr. Pettyjohn?
Aye.
I'm smiling real big. Mrs. Nicholas?
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder?
Aye.
Mr. Stewart? Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
Mr. Patel?
Aye.
Mrs. Rivera?
Aye.
And Mr. Price?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Takes us down to P5, which is an award to NYCO Mechanical for the high school HVAC project. And then the second one is going to be P6. I got a couple comments to state about this. I'd like to defer both of these items, 5 and 6, and not take any action on them for lack of information. We have asked for documentation supporting paperwork at the meeting of the whole a week ago. None of us have still seen that documentation and paperwork. So without that, I find it very hard to vote on something without being able to vet it ourselves, especially with the amount that it is. So I like to move to defer these. We don't have to take any action on a defer.
You making a motion?
No, I want to defer them till next month. We could table it.
Yeah, I would think it would require a motion and.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to table these items till next month, where we can get our documentation.
Point of reference, you can't table something that's not on the table first, so you would actually have to make a motion to approve, and then someone would have to make a secondary motion to table it.
Sure.
It was not part of the consent. That's why I wanted to defer them since we weren't taking action. Well, my recommendation, we don't take action until we get the supporting documentation.
Right. Okay. I mean, I guess technically then we'll have a motion, a second, and then we can act on the president's motion to table the item. Right.
Well, I'm not actually. Well, I mean, wasn't going to put it on the table. I just wanted to defer it. So if we need a motion to table it, we'll take 2 separate motions to table it. Okay, so we'll do that. So I'll entertain a motion to table P5.
No, if it's not on, if it hasn't been moved, then there's nothing to remove. But
All right,
if
fine.
you
We-
make the motion and nobody seconds, then it dies on the floor until next month, right?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do a motion to defer? That way. Sorry about that. We should vote on it. So I think the president's made a motion to defer. Is there a second to defer?
Second.
Questions, comments?
I just want to say I am in agreement in case you didn't see the reason for, you mentioned the amounts. One was $3.1 million. And the other one, I mean, I don't want to say only, but it was only $58,000, but $3.1 million without the paperwork is, I think, the bigger concern.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
against signify by saying nay. Abstentions. Motion carries. Now,
Yes, we'll just have a motion to defer 6 for possible action until next month.
I'd like to make a motion to defer P6 until next month.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against signify by saying nay. Abstentions. Motion carries. Which takes us down to personnel. So you good? Yes, thank you. Motion to award Motion to approve the employment contract by and between the Bensalem Township School District and Joe Langowski for the position of Director of Human Resources commencing on May 1st, 2022 through June 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Once again, Ms. Harder, you're very popular. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Pettyjohn,
Aye.
Mrs. Nicholas,
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart, Mr. Cohen,
Aye.
Mr. Patel,
Aye.
Mrs. Rivera,
Aye.
and Mr. Price.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd like to give Dr. Lee the floor for a moment.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you. No, wow.
We're going to close
Wait.
this meeting for a minute.
Recess? I hope when we come back from that recess, I'm still employed. My apologies. Mr. President,
Much better.
I'm sorry. It gives me pleasure to introduce our new Human Resources Director, Joe Langowski. Joe, say hello to everybody. I don't know, Joe. You want to come up and say a few words?
Yeah, he does. Sure he does.
Meet everybody in the Bensalem district. It's been great to meet a few of the board members through the interview process. It was also really nice to get to know the cabinet a little bit. I'm looking forward to doing some great work here with all of you as stakeholders, and appreciate the vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and welcome.
Welcome aboard, Joe. So just a couple housekeeping things. The board did meet in executive session prior to this meeting on matters concerning confidential student matters, labor negotiations, employee personnel matters, attorney litigation matters, and safety security matters. Upcoming board meetings: February 1st, Wellness Committee, along with Instructional Affairs. February 3rd, the Charter School Committee. February 8th, Personnel Committee. February 8th, Board Policy Committee. That's a rescheduled meeting from January 11th. February 9th, Business Facilities and Technology. February 16th, Committee of the Whole work session. February 17th, Public Relations and Outreach Committee. February 21st, Co-Curricular Sports Association meeting. That meets at the Bensalem High School Internet Cafe.
Go ahead, you can finish.
Okay. February 22nd is the regular action meeting, and February 28th is the budget work session. I just got a couple more things to say about some of these meetings. Tonight is a regular action meeting where we take action on everything that comes out of the committee. So the real work happens in the committee. So it just goes out to the public. If you have a lot of comments, passion, questions that you want to get involved with, the real work goes on in committees. So come to the committee meetings and, get involved there, have your say, be heard. The Committee of the Whole is another place that you can come out and hear a lot of the comments and that goes on between the board with our questions to everybody. So tonight when you come out, you might think, you didn't hear what was going on. Well, all that action happened in the committees. So we implore the community to come out to those, and that's where you're going to get everything.
I just have two questions. I believe the Business Facilities and Technology Committee is going to be the 3rd of February instead of the 9th. I believe they're changing that. And the Committee of the Whole meetings, if they're public meetings, are we recording those? No, we don't have to? No requirement for recording. Okay.
So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Nay. Abstentions? Thanks for coming, guys.